All right, are you looking to relocate to Orlando and you're kind of trying to figure out some easy steps that you could take to make your life a heck of a lot easier when moving here? Well, in this video, I'm kind of going to go through all of that. I'm going to go through some 5 easy steps. I'm going to break down and kind of expand on each one because they might just seem like easy steps, but underneath there's a lot that goes on below the table. So getting into it. So the first one I think you really need to understand is like, what is your budget? I think the world is going to heck in a handbasket in a lot of ways, and I don't think how much you make, it's relevant. I think we're all feeling the pressure of this economy and the craziness that's going on in the world, and Orlando is not one of those cheap cities. If you haven't started looking already, I can tell you, I talk to people every single day, and they're all feeling this pressure. So the biggest thing you can do is kind of figure out your budget. I don't care if you're looking to purchase something, rent something. Like in the end, you really need to figure out where your budget sits, and depending on how much you're looking to make, you might, then the next problem is like, do you purchase something? Do you rent? How long are you going to stay here? Like all that plays into it, but your budget always comes first. Right now in Orlando, the average 1-bedroom, and so we're going to start with the city limits. Inside city limits, we're going to start inside city and then we're going to go outside. Inside the city limits, you can expect the average 1-bedroom apartment is anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a month. It varies. You might find cheaper, right? I think one thing I've noticed is the rental market stagnates at certain times of the year. Obviously, if you're trying to move during the winter, it's crazy because all the snowbirds are coming here, people who don't live here during their summer, and they're trying to get rentals and things like that. So you definitely got to be careful what time of the year you're moving because that can affect how easy it is to get into a home or a rental. Now, that's the average 1-bedroom price. I can tell you in the city, I've seen people, we'll go off of like an average 3-bed, 2-bath house. So if you're looking for something bigger, you can go up from there, right? Now, for an average, for a 3-bed, 2-bath home, you're looking at least $3,000 a month. That's like the average inside the city. I see people paying a lot more than that. It depends on what neighborhood, how close you are, things like that. And that's for a home, right? So if you're looking for like a condo, townhome, even though it might be bigger, probably gonna be a little bit less in that price. But that's like the rough numbers you're looking at for rent. Now, when it comes to purchasing, the average piece of property inside the city of Orlando is, it's about $400,000, okay? Give or take. Now, going on the outside and the outskirts, things get a little bit different. I can tell you 1-bedroom apartments could be as low as like, $1,200 a month. Single family homes. I just had a client I talked to yesterday who, their single family homes would be about, $2,100 a month to $2,800. Like it varies pretty wildly depending on, what neighborhood. Like if you're looking to rent in like Dr. Phillips, obviously it's gonna be more expensive. If you're looking to live in like Oviedo or Lake Mary, like you can get a little bit better pricing up there in those areas. But it's variable, but that's roughly what you can expect. You can shave money off, but obviously depending where you're looking to travel, like that's a whole nother play, and your budget, unfortunately, you got to live within it. You got to figure out, in this market, I think what I tell a lot of people is like, look, how much are you trying to save every month? So when I moved to Orlando, when it came to the budget, I can tell you it's one of those things where we didn't really save money when we moved here. Like we did, but what I tell most people is like when you're coming to Florida nowadays, because inflation has just been so crazy, it's more expensive than it used to be. Unless you're living in the boons, like you're not really saving money, you're probably going to spend the same you did where you're coming from, but you're going to get a heck of a lot more for that money, right? Like I remember it being in Southern California. Now I've hopped out in a lot of places. I hate having to say Southern California is the last place I lived. I'm happy I can say Florida now. But like I lived there and we went from a 2-bedroom condo, right? Spent like $310,000, and it's even way more than that now, but $310,000 for that dinky little like 800 square foot condo, right? Where we had our laundry was 2 flights down, like it sucked. And we went over here, bought a home for about $380, and it's like 2,200 square feet, and that's normal. So I tell people you're not really saving money by moving to Orlando, but what you're gonna get is you're gonna get a lot more. Your money's gonna go a lot farther, right? We love theme parks. Well, I could care less about it. My wife and like the kids, they love the theme parks. We do that, right? But I like to do like off the beaten path things. And that's what's great about living in Central Florida is like you have areas where you can kind of save some money with your excursions. Like, you can do things for a heck of a lot cheaper than you could in a lot of other places, right? And that's what I love about here is like your budget can be flexed, but in terms of housing and food, you're probably going to spend the same money you did elsewhere. You're just going to get more for it. Now, that being said, if you're looking to get something smaller, like you can absolutely save money. Like for me, I had kids. I wanted my own freaking house. I was like, no way. I'm living in a condo. I've had the neighbors pounding on the floor. Like, hey, I got a 2-year, 3-year-old at the time. They're going to be going crazy, right? Like they're going to be playing and like they're kids. And I knew right off the bat when I came here, I'm like, that is not what I wanted. I didn't want to be stuck in that situation to where I'm having to deal with neighbors upset for kids being kids. Because for some reason, nowadays in society, it's a normal thing to hate kids. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I digress. So when it comes to the budget, you're probably going to be spending the same. But you have to kind of figure out, what are you trying to get? I mean, I've had people that go, I want a massive yard in a 3-bed, 2-bath house with a large yard. And they come to find out, they're like, oh, that's actually outside of my budget. Or I can afford it, but Cameron, I'd really like to keep things down. And obviously that translates into it. Obviously, what I do here is I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Orlando, Florida, and I love helping people like yourself determine their budgets and figure out that plan when it comes to relocating. Your number popping up below so I can get a hold of me and the team. It goes directly to me. You can call, text, email, or if you want to go straight to the front of the line, you have no time to waste. Because, hey, we all get stressed up in life. There's a Zoom link down below. You can go ahead, you can jump on my calendar. If the time doesn't fit, then just let me know. Reach out, let me know. Say, hey, Cameron, nothing in your calendar fits. I'm military. I work night hours. Whatever it is, you let me know. I can make it work. I'm happy to do so because when you moved here and you don't have a plan, it makes things a heck of a lot harder when you don't plan. You got to plan. And if you're too busy to make that plan, that's why you reach out to me and the team, and we are here to help you through that process to get it done. So reach out to us. Now, the next thing that we're going to go into as I look on my list here, because I just have squirrel brain sometimes, is find someone like myself, right? So full disclosure, obviously, you don't need an agent to get things done. I'm an agent who hates agents. I know, believe it or not, it's weird. So obviously, if you are looking to purchase a piece of real estate, it's great to have someone like myself who understands what it's like to relocate. Not only have I moved here across the country and had to deal with that with kids and all that stress, so I made a lot of mistakes along the way. Heck, we even moved here and we didn't even think about schools when we did because our kids weren't in school. It's embarrassing, but I always love to admit it because it's funny looking back. We got lucky. The cool thing about Orlando is there are a lot of private and charter schools and things like that. So even if you're not in a great public school area, there's probably some other options nearby that you can get your kids into to make sure they get the best school possible, which I know as a parent is very important. Or maybe like to homeschool. Hey, this isn't an issue for you. But finding someone like myself who understands that process, and this is what I do specifically. Like, obviously, it's like when you go to a tax professional or a lawyer, right? Everyone has the certain areas that they work with. And just because you find an agent who, maybe they work with investors or whatever, like if they don't know what your situation is, they don't specialize in it, it's going to make your life a lot harder. So make sure you reach out to someone to create that plan. I will also tell you, when it comes to relocating, because I was in the military as well for a number of years and I jumped around to a number of states, is sometimes you kind of got to get the process started before you're physically in the area. You got to make sure, and maybe it's not me, that's fine. There's probably more than enough of us on YouTube for you to find. But what it comes down to is you have to make sure you have someone you trust to be your eyes and ears on the ground. Because when you're moving to a new area, not only are you trying to deal with the budget and where you should live, sometimes you have to even if you get to visit the area and the home, you're probably going to be gone for some period of time making that transition. Now, maybe not for everyone, but maybe you are. And you want to make sure you have someone who trusts to be on the ground to kind of tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's what me and my team do. But like I said, you got to find someone that you fit with. And maybe it's not me. That's fine. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Heck, you can probably look below and find comments of people that just despise me. That's okay. I can deal with it. But you have to make sure you find someone you trust to be your eyes and ears on the ground, because if you're not here physically to see things, you have to make sure you know someone who can deal with that process and knows how to do it. Because I've seen it before. People will get here, and even if they're going to sell a home in a different state, same concept. You have to have a team that's communicating on your behalf. Because especially if you're looking to purchase real estate, because if they're not communicating for you, then who is? You're caught up, you got family, work, all that stuff. The last thing you need to be worrying about, hey, is everything going okay with my house being purchased and whatever. It sucks. So you have to make sure you have that team in place to get it done. Now, the next thing is research. Now, obviously this channel, I try and bring as much information. I'm trying to do better with it. Heading into 2023, I want to make this better. Like I got 3 kids now, 3 boys, and my life is crazy. But I want to make sure I drop these videos for you outside of helping clients and all that stuff, because you got to make sure you do your research. And I'll tell you, now we did a discovery trip. So when we first, my wife woke me up one day in Southern California in our dinky little condo, and she's like, Cameron, I've had enough. I don't want to live here anymore. She's born and raised there, obviously. Me, I was like, I don't know what I had to do. I probably had work that day. I stopped everything. I'm like, tell me more, because I was ready to go. I not a fan at all. And we figured it out. We're like, okay, well, she's like, oh, I love Disney. Obviously, we probably have some disagreement with the company itself, but we love the concept and the theme parks, and I want things to do with my kids and not be too crazy far from a hospital. Me, I probably could go to the middle of Montana and have a great life. But here we are. And so we chose on Orlando because I've been to Orlando a lot. She's been to Orlando as well. And we're like, you know what, Florida? We knew Florida was the place, but we're in Florida. You know, Orlando seemed to hit that box. So what we did, we packed up the kids, made plans, whatever. Luckily, I was in a position to where I could, I could refer out clients and I could set up my life to kind of disappear for a month. And we just did a massive road trip. We stopped everywhere from Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, a little bit of Alabama, northern Florida. We went through everything. We stopped at a ton of places, stayed in a bunch of places, Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi. We stopped at a lot of places. And sure, it was stressful with only two kids at the time, but it helped us decide. And when we got here, not everyone can make that kind of trip. I get that. But I think even if I have clients that they come out just for a weekend, just one weekend. And you just need to look at the areas. You need to research, watch videos like mine, my channel. I have a website as well, linked below, OrlandoTampaLiving.com. I don't have any ties in Tampa, but hey, I got it. But that website has everything, it's just some more tips and stuff for you and resources when it comes to moving to Orlando. Do your research and then just narrow down. I just had a call actually this week with someone who's looking to come to Orlando. And after talking, their biggest concern was schools. I'm like, fantastic. Go to my website, go to resources, and you're going to find not only the government link to Florida schools, you're going to find a third-party website, greatschools.org, that reviews schools, tells you their test scores, like their safety rating, everything. Start there. And they're like, well, I want to find the safety of the community. I'm like, look, I can't sway you with what community you should go to, but I can sure as heck give you information to help you decide for yourself to find that perfect area. So I'm like, we're going to start with schools because that's the biggest concern for them. It's like, I want my daughters to go to good schools. I'm like, fantastic. It shows you all the private schools, the public schools. You go through that list, you find your areas, top 10, and then you're coming out for a weekend to look at the area, drive around those neighborhoods, make sure they fit your budget, and just drive around. Like, how are the parks? How do the schools feel? Like, could you see yourself driving? His wife is a nurse. Like, driving to work. Practice driving to work from those neighborhoods. Like, imagine you're in the area and do that. Even if it's for one day, if you can do it, do it. But I will also tell you, the skills in the military playing over here for me, that if you can't do that, that's why the step before you talk to a real estate agent, because you want to make sure you're in a position to where you can have someone who knows and can just give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and give you those resources to make the decision for you. I promise you, even if you can't make that discovery trip, that's okay. You can still make it happen to be in an area you love. No, you do not have to rent for a year, 2 years to figure that out. Now, if you want to do that, sure, go right ahead. But I'm talking to the person who look, I really want to buy a home. I don't want to rent. And you're moving here, but you don't have time to look at a neighborhood. That's why you have me. That's why I have these videos. Heck, you can even be like, Cameron, I want to FaceTime you. I want to get on a Zoom call while you're on your phone, and we're going to travel the neighborhoods together. I've done it. I've been there, and I'll do that for anyone especially any of my clients who want to get in that position. It's like, hey, if you can't make it, that's fine. Heck, you can even just go on Google Maps and pull up the satellite view and go down to the neighborhood view and just go around the road. I'm telling you, you got to do what you got to do. And that can help you narrow it down. But make sure you can look at the public crime data. You can look at the public school information. Just look at everything that's important to you and the budget and decide what fits you best. And that's how you start looking at neighborhoods, start narrowing things down. Now, the step after that is you know where you want to live, is touring potential homes. Now, like I said, if you can't physically make it here, I get that. And in that case, you have someone like myself where we can have video calls. Like, we make sure you have homes that have 360 tours, like all of that. And you create that plan to see those homes. Like, if you can't physically be here, what I love to do is, like, when we got on a FaceTime or a Zoom call on my phone, me and my team, when we tour the homes, is we'll tell you everything that's wrong with the home. We'll be like, hey, looks like some paint chipping. Hey, this carpet's picking up. Everything. So if you can deal with the negative stuff in a home, then you can deal with the positive stuff with it. Obviously, the neighborhoods and stuff play into that, but that's why you did the last step to do that research. But looking for homes, I always tell people, especially if you're looking to rent, Florida is a sunny state for shady people. Now, this goes for everywhere. But when it comes to Florida specifically, it's one of those places where, be careful when you're looking for rentals. There's a lot of scams out there. Not that Florida has more than other places, but the concepts still apply. Be careful when you're getting into these situations, because even if you're going to buy a home, you got to make sure you're getting your inspection done. Make sure, because people will try and hide things, and your goal is to find out what they're hiding, if anything, and are you okay to live with the consequences afterwards. So, touring those homes, going through that process, I can tell you right now. So if you're one of those people that are last minute, you're getting ready to move to Florida, and you're like, crap, I got to find a place to live. So I will tell you, if you have less than 45 days, I don't know if I recommend actually buying a home. Now, could it happen? Absolutely. If you have the cash, if you have, you're not using a standard loan product, then you have time. I'll tell people it can take a couple weeks to get an accepted offer on a home. And then you're looking at 21 to 30 days minimum to get into that home, even after finding one and getting an offer accepted. So you have to make sure you have at least some leeway, because if you're trying to do things last minute, hey, maybe you're lucky and get a month-to-month rental. I will tell you, most leases have a minimum lease requirement in the cities. That's why you might find a hard time getting a month-to-month rental. Now, I have seen situations where clients are like, I want to buy a home, but I have to be there in 30 days. Well, sometimes you can call the owners of Airbnb or message them, and they will negotiate a lower month rent for you to stay there. Now, it doesn't always happen, but that is something we have helped clients do in the past, and that's something maybe you could do yourself. Is if you know you want to buy a home, but you need some more time, or you want some time to look for stuff, hey, that could be an option for you. Now, what stinks is if you have stuff that's coming with you, you might have to keep it in a storage unit. Now, Pods will have a storage unit in Orlando. It's climate controlled, so that's always an option for people who don't have too much stuff. I'll tell you, when we moved over here, like, we had a lot of stuff, so we kind of went with Mayflower movers, the big ones. I don't get anything for them, but you got to do your research, because every state has different pricing, and you got to really do your research when it comes to moving companies. I think I did a video on moving companies, but regardless, you have to make sure you do that research before you get out here. That also plays into the budget, by the way. I didn't mention that before. That plays into the budget. Make sure you understand that it's not cheap to move, especially leaving like blue states like California, New York. Holy crap, do they charge a premium? Like, look it up. Just practice leaving your state, especially if it's one of those blue states. I don't think there's anything wrong with political reasons with that, but man, because so many people are leaving those states, statistically, they charge you a heck of a lot more to leave than going to them. It's crazy. Now, the final step is finalize your decision and move. Now, Cameron, what the heck do you mean by that? What I mean is, when it comes to finalizing your decision, is once you did all the research, you found your team, you know what you're doing, is you have to be decisive and you have to do it. Because changing your mind last minute just adds more stress to yourself. And if you follow all the other 4 steps before this point, you will be okay when it comes to this point, is you have to be decisive and make that decision. It stinks, it's not easy, and not everything's perfect, but the right plan in place, you can negate most of those negative things. Because the last thing anyone wants is for you to come to Orlando just to hate your life because you choose the wrong neighborhood, or you choose a good neighborhood, but the next door block is crackheads, right? You gotta be careful. And you have to make sure, not that happens a lot, but you get what I'm saying. But you have to make sure you make that decision and you move. So that means while you're touring homes, you get into that home, like once you get that offer accepted, or that lease agreement signed, you gotta freaking be ready to go. You have to make sure actually during this whole process, like this leading up to this final step, it's like you're getting rid of stuff you don't need. You already know who your mover is gonna be. If you're like us, like I didn't have help and family and friends to unload our stuff when we got here, so I had to budget in people to help me take stuff out. I can't move all the heavy furniture, the couches by myself. Most of it, sure, but I wanted to hire people when we got here, local movers, to help me unload the stuff and help it set up in the rooms, because we moved here with no family, no friends. We were starting from scratch, and you have to make sure that you budget that in, and this is playing into that final decision. If you're selling a home when you're moving here, you have to make sure you're linking those two up, because timelines are all over the place. They're crazy, and you want to make sure that when you get here in Orlando, you have a place to get into. It's happened before where people now are having to pay absorbent prices in those long-term stay hotels. Like, we don't want to do that. You're already spending a large amount of money to get here. Like, there's no reason to spend more money because things didn't line up. So you got to make sure that you're ready to move, and when that time comes, like, you're done. Things are in place. Your job's lined up. Everything is in place. Because I've seen it happen before, like jobs all of a sudden like, hey, we're not relocating anymore, things like that. Nah, don't play that game. You gotta make sure that you follow all the steps leading up to this point, and when that time comes, that you make that decision and you move. But if any of these steps confuse you, or you just think you need some help, me and my team are here to specialize and help you create that plan. I don't care if you're looking to move today, tomorrow, or 2 years in the future. Reach out. Let us have that conversation. It's no cost to have a conversation to figure out what your plan should be, what you should do. And you can either, this number popping up below, you can call, text, or email, or there's a Zoom link down below. It's always there. Go straight to my calendar, and we can book a time to work through what your plan should be, could be, and will be. So hope you got value in this video, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.